Hi friends, it's Antrese Rowe here again, and today I have a word for you on truth, love, and compassion. And this one might be a little longer than the last couple videos have been because I have so much I want to share that I think is going to really be life-changing for some people. And it is going to require a little bit of a deeper level of how we think about all three. How we think about truth, how we think about love, and how we offer compassion to those in need. But I really challenge you to press in and take some time where you have about 15 to 20 minutes to listen to this word and just absorb it, think about it. You might want to listen to it more than once, and just really just let it just sit in your heart. So we're going to talk about truth, love, and compassion. So I was thinking back probably a couple of months ago. I was disciplining one of my children, and it was actually one of my younger ones, one of the twins, and he was doing something. I don't remember what he was doing, but I just remember his response to me. His response to me in that moment when I was disciplining him was, "Mom, if you were me and I were you, how would you feel about this situation?" And he said it more than once. And what he was asking me was for me to come around and see from his perspective what he felt like was going on in that particular situation. And, you know, I've been left with those words, and I've thought about it often, how he was able to articulate that, first of all, at age 6. And the other thing that it showed me and what it impressed upon my heart is how many people are not verbally saying that, but how many people through their actions are showing that they need somebody to come around and show them compassion for where they are in their life or in their walk. Now, if you're an extremely religious person, this video is probably going to rub you the wrong way, because I'm really going to challenge you in this particular video to really see people where they are in whatever stage of life that they're in. Not try to change people, not try to force our will on people, not try to power through with truth. I'm going to just show you the truth and you're going to eat this truth. No, but how do we love well along with giving truth, and also, again, come alongside people with compassion? That's what we're going to be talking about. So I'm actually going to just talk to you about some things that God has been showing me as he's been growing me really in this area of love. I asked him years ago a question about love and how do we love people who sometimes feel like it feels so difficult to love people because, again, we either can't relate to their situation or we don't really understand where they're coming from, and instead of embracing them, a lot of times as people, we'll push them away. And so this is a question that I've been just yearning to understand and have a better understanding of how we show compassion and love and truth to those around us so that they're not repelled by us, but they actually want to be a part of what we're doing. So the first thing that God showed me was, he was like, you just love. You know, you don't have an agenda. You don't have motives. You don't have a heart behind why you're doing what you're doing for people. You just practice love without feeling like you deserve something back, without putting your thoughts and your opinions on the situation. You just offer and you give, you give, you give. I did a short video last week where I talked about that thing that you feel like you're not getting. That's something that you probably need to give to others in your life. So I want to just reiterate how important it is when we are trying to win others over. We win them over by laying our agenda aside and just loving them where they are. You'd be surprised with how much you learn from people when you do that too. So we don't change people. We don't have the power to change people. Really, only God has the power to change people. He does the changing, we do the loving. And with those two combined, we are able to get people where they need to be in their journey. So here's some things that I want you to think about. Loving others well is something we have an opportunity to do all the time. But do we often take it? No, because loving others well requires a couple things. One, it requires us to come out of our comfort zone. It also requires us to be inconvenienced at times. Loving others well is not something that you can always fit into what you got going on during the day. So if you're not conscious about, again, not having an agenda, you might miss opportunities to love people well. So here's a few things that I want to challenge you on. I want you to think about times in your life where you've been in a tough spot or a tough predicament, or you did something that that you felt was kind of cringeworthy. We've all had those moments when we've done those things. And I want you to think about people who in your life at that time who embraced you instead of shunned you. I want you to think about those people, because those are the type of people that we are trying and striving to be like. Those people who embrace people instead of push people away when people are in a tough spot. And that requires a lot of discipline. And when I say discipline, I don't mean like military type discipline. What I mean is it causes us to have to really get in our thoughts and think about, okay, what's going on in this particular situation. And it also requires us to draw God into the situation. A lot of times people are not able to love well because they are loving people through the filter that they were loved through. I really want you to grasp that, because that's a huge deal. If you see people who are not able to love well, it's because they're loving people through the filter which they feel like they are being loved through. So people who are harsh towards others, they've experienced harshness in their own lives. People who judge others, they've experienced judgment in their own life. People who make fun of people or who are quick to call out others' faults, they do it because it happened to them. We just repeat and we do behaviors that unfortunately have happened to us. And so what that causes is it just causes more hurt and it causes more pain, because we're not slowing down and becoming self-aware and unpacking what's going on in our own lives so that we can purge, get rid of it, and turn and do a new thing where those old patterns and those old habits and those old way of being, we let it go and we come into this new place. I'm reminded of the story where they brought the woman to Jesus in John 8, and they brought her to her, and they were so ready for judgment on her life. She had committed adultery, and they brought her and they wanted Jesus to judge her. And so instead of being reactive towards them, what he actually said was, "He who has no sin, cast the first stone." And the room went silent. Which the room will, because when you think about it, we have all done things in our life where we have deserved judgment. But it's not our place to judge. It's our place to love well and to add truth, love, and compassion to a situation. So you may be wondering, well, where does this truth come in? How am I able to, there's somebody in my life that I see them heading towards the train wreck. How do I stop it? Again, it's not necessarily our job to stop the train wreck. It is our job to love that person. And through them experiencing our love, it creates opportunities for us to speak deeper into their lives. We can't speak deep into somebody's life if we haven't loved them well. We can, but, again, what that's going to do is it's not going to be effective. People don't receive from people that they feel are going to come and talk bad about them or judge them or make them feel bad about themselves. Those are not people that we receive from. We receive from people who make us, feel good about ourselves, who love us. There's a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And in that book, the author talks about making deposits into people and withdrawals, taking from people. And, it's our job to put more deposits into people than we take from people. And when we have that good practice of putting into people and pouring into people, then people are then able to receive from us when we do have to hit them with the truth. But again, we should not be just giving truth for truth's sake. Truth has to be undergirded with love. So if you're just telling somebody something because you want to right a wrong or you want to show them the truth, then you really want to evaluate. You want to check your heart and ask yourself why that's so important to you, why it's so important for you to save that person with truth. Because yes, we must tell the truth. It honors God when we tell the truth to people. We don't want to walk around not telling the truth to people, but we have to undergird it with love and we have to undergird it with compassion. Because otherwise their hearts are not going to be moved and you're not going to see change. So I really would suggest that you take some time thinking about people that you've wanted to tell truth to or want to hit them with truth. I actually was feeling that way the other day. There was somebody that I just really wanted to show them some truth on something. And the Lord showed me my heart around what I wanted to say and what I wanted to do. And, it was true what I wanted to say, but what he was showing me was my motive for wanting to give that truth was not right. And so in giving that truth, I probably would have done more damage in that situation. Because what I've come to learn is people typically know when they are doing things that are not right. People know. We all know when we're doing things that are not right, unless we just really just don't care. And I think even people who don't care, if they were really honest, would say that they know when they are doing things that are not right. But a lot of times they've gotten themselves into such a habit of doing these things that they don't know how to get out. And again, you can't help them get out if there's no love and there's no compassion to help draw them out. That's what Jesus used in his ministry. He used love, he used compassion, and yes, he told the truth. He told that same woman to go and sin no more, but he did not hit her with that first. You sinner, he did not start with that. He started with love and allowing her into a space where she felt like she could be loved. He allowed her into a space that felt safe. So I want you to think about whether your environment and the place that you keep, if it feels like a safe place, if people can feel like they can come in and they can just, take a deep breath. This doesn't mean that you don't exercise healthy boundaries. We're not doormats. Everybody who comes to us with their stuff, we don't have to take on their stuff. But when we are healthy and we have healthy boundaries, we are able to give from our overflow. I talk about this all the time, that place of overflow. You're not giving from what's inside of you. You're giving from that overflow, that place where you know who you are. You've identified who you are. I talked about identity a few weeks ago, which is so important because when you know who you are, you're able to really just brush off the things that are not supposed to come into your heart. Because that's another part of it. We have to have our hearts guarded, because then when people say things to us that typically would repel us or make us think like, why would they say that? Or get offended. We don't get offended when we've guarded our hearts and we've done our work of getting ourselves healthy so that we can help others. So it reminds me, I'm just going to hit it with this whole story that's going on right now with Jussie. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I really hope that with everything that's going on with him, that he is surrounded with compassion. I really do. Because obviously he is showing signs of feeling hurt. He's showing signs of some internal things going on in his life that he is having a hard time processing in this season. And, we all have opinions, but our opinions are not really helpful in times of crisis. We have to have some solid truth, we have to have love, and we have to have compassion for people who are struggling. So I hope that there's less opinion going on about what he did and why he did it and all the stirring and the talking that goes around and the trying to figure out, because none of us are him. So none of us really know what's in his heart and why at the end of the day he did what he did. But what we can do is we can come around with compassion, we can come around with love, and then we can offer truth around that situation. So I would encourage you to even do this in your own personal life. We don't know him personally, but what we can do in terms of that situation in order to kind of get things off of it, stop adding fuel to the fire. A lot of us want to talk about it, but that's not really helping the situation. So we don't add fuel to the fire. Instead of going out and trying to engage other people about it, we press in, we get quiet, we hear what God has to say about these things. And that's not just for his situation, that's for situations in general. When you see a hot button situation, instead of going to people first, I talked about this, I think, last week, and who are you depending on? We go to Jesus and we get with him first on how we are supposed to respond. And notice I didn't say how we're supposed to react, because a lot of times we react first. We see something happen and we go straight to our computers to punch and say, what we want to say about a situation. But I would encourage you to, instead of going straight to the computer and wanting to be one of the first to have news about a situation, to get quiet and really hear what God has to say. So again, this particular video is not for those who are extremely religious. There are people who are not going to agree. I'm sure he will have consequences, because that's just a part of life. There's always consequences for our actions. But, we never, because the same spirit is what we judge others, we will be judged ourselves. So we never want to hit people with judgment and they deserve this and they deserve that, even if we don't agree with their life choices and what they're doing. We want to stay focused on loving, having compassion, and speaking truth. Those three things have to go together. I hope this video has encouraged you, and please feel free to share it with those you think it may encourage as well. I hope that you're having a great week, and It is the month of love, so please show love to not only those that live in your doors, but also show love to others. Have a great day.